This is the new 2026 Ford Bronco Badlands. This one here has 2 doors, a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, a hardtop, and it also has a 7-speed manual transmission. And best of all, this one is mine because I just bought it. Yep, that's right. This is the latest addition to the long-term driving sports TV test fleet. Say goodbye to the Bronco Sport. Say hello to the full-size Bronco. Well, okay, the half-size full-size Bronco. Given all the features that I wanted, I wasn't able to buy this off the dealer showroom floor. I had to order it. I placed the order back in January, and now here in April, it was finally delivered this morning. And I am stoked. Really, I am absolutely excited because this is going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of plans for it over the summer and beyond. This, of course, does join the Land Cruiser 250 we already have, as well as the Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road, which is getting built up as an overlanding vehicle. I think it's going to be fun completely stock, though we might add a few things to it. I simply love the visual ratios on this thing. I mean, it's got a 100-inch wheelbase and a 65-inch track. Ground clearance is 10.5 inches on this particular trim with the standard tires. The approach angle is 41.3 degrees, which is excellent. For 2026, this is a new color for the Bronco. It's called Avalanche Gray, and it is a $395 option. The only engine available with the manual transmission is the 2.3-liter EcoBoost inline 4-cylinder. This produces a peak 300 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. Though it is available with a 10-speed automatic, I opted for the 7-speed manual, due in part to the low crawl ratio of 94.75 to 1. The transfer case here is a dual range, plus it has the on-demand 4x4 system, which allows me to just set it and forget it on mixed traction surfaces. Up front, the Badlands has independent suspension with a Dana M210 setup. In the back, it has a Dana 44 solid axle with a 4-link panhard rod and integrated jounce bumpers. In short, this thing is built for the rigors of off-road. The rear locker is a Spicer Performatrack. Suspension is the Haas 2.0 system with aluminum control arms and position-sensitive Bilstein off-road monotubes. In addition to the standard Badlands off-road goodies like the rugged terrain 33-inch tires, recovery points, rock rails, and underbody bash plates, I did option the modular front bumper, front stabilizer bar disconnect, and the trailer tow package with a hitch and power connectors. For some extra creature comforts, I did go with the mid-upgrade package. This upgrades the seats and steering wheel with heat, 400-watt AC power inverter, and the basic Copilot 360 system, which brings in blind spot ID and rear cross-traffic alerts. In the back here, we do get a recovery point. We have a tow hitch with a 3,500-pound limit, electrical connections, a full-size matching spare tire, which is really nice to see. And then we have the swing-out and pop-up rear gate. The back seats do fold down for extra storage space. Back here, you get 52 cubic feet with the second row folded flat. Under the floor, we do get extra storage plus a jack. I mean, it may not be much compared to, say, a Honda Passport, but considering the size of this vehicle, I think this is actually plenty of cargo space. It's actually really impressive. This being a hardtop convertible, of course, you can remove the roof and doors. However, this also being the Pacific Northwest, where it rains every 20 minutes, I probably won't use that feature very often. Like all of the vehicles that we purchased for the show, I didn't get any special discounts from the manufacturer. However, because I have purchased other Ford vehicles in the past, I did qualify for a standard customer loyalty program. That means I saved an additional $2,750 off the retail price. MSRP, as you see it here, is $55,945 US, including destination. Though I could have gone with a Sasquatch package, which has upgraded suspension and 35-inch tires, I chose not to go that direction. And the reason was, I feel like this vehicle is probably capable enough for the kind of adventures that I like to have. I'm not a big-time rock crawler. I'd much rather do overland-style adventures, which in most cases, you just don't need 35s for. Also, there's the cost. Sasquatching this particular vehicle is almost $6,500 additional. That's not small change. The seats here are a marine grade vinyl. They have manual adjustments, no power here. Now you can option leather, but again, I chose not to go that route. For me, this package is manual, it's old school, but with some high-tech touches like this 12-inch infotainment system. Now this does support both wireless Apple CarPlay as well as wireless Android Auto. However, there is no wireless charging pad for my device, so I do have to plug in anyway if I want it to charge. And honestly, that's not a big deal because if I'm running a Starlink setup on this vehicle for satellite in the middle of nowhere, I can't be running wireless Apple CarPlay anyway because that uses the Wi-Fi of the phone, and a phone can only attach to one Wi-Fi device at a time. It's just one of those little technical things. So on this system, of course, there is XM satellite radio. It has navigation built in. And there is a subscription, obviously, for navigation. All car makers do that. Ford includes 1 year of connectivity for free. After that, it's about $150 per year, which roughly is, what, $12.50 a month? And you are getting the wireless hotspot with that, which is interesting because Toyota actually charges extra for that feature. Now, in terms of active safety, we do have blind spot warning. We have rear camera. I do not have surround view camera on this. That is the next level up. Again, chose not to go that route. Keep it simple. And we also have dual zone climate control here. Nice touch. Heated seats, heated steering wheel. The bins are a nice setup. We have a USB socket there. We also have the window controls in the middle because, of course, the roof and doors are removable. So we have to keep those somewhere. And then over on the right here, we can adjust the mirrors. So why a Bronco and why now? It really comes down to the manual transmission. I'm not sure how much longer Ford and other companies are going to continue to offer the manual transmission. And I just wanted it. I wanted to try it, for a little bit. And of course, one of the added benefits of this manual transmission is one of the lowest crawl ratios in the business. Almost 95-1. The only thing better is a manual transmission Wrangler, which I think is 98-1. So it's right in there. Let's take this for a quick drive, and then we're going to bring it back here to go over some of the off-road features. Man, this thing is a riot to drive. Because this has not been broken in yet, I'm not going to be doing extensive on-road, and that's simply because I don't want to stress out the components. Even though I might only keep this for a year or two, a lot of other people are going to drive it down the road, and you know what? It's not that hard to break in a vehicle properly. And this transmission has to be one of the easiest shifting transmissions I've ever used. I mean, it's smooth, it's engaging. Basically, I just thought people were being nostalgic, like, yeah, it's a manual, it's awesome, no matter how it feels. But the fact is, this actually feels really good. We have reverse hung off of first, and then the crawl gear is just below that. We'll play with the crawl gear in a little bit. Yeah, the seating position is high. I have excellent visibility, even with the doors attached. It does feel a little, tipsy-turvy because short wheelbase, 33-inch tires. I can only imagine that with 35s, it would feel even more precarious. It's like it's driving around on its tiptoes, basically. Now, in terms of noise, I'm doing 45 right now, and I am hearing wind noise, of course, in the roof, which is okay. And that's actually kind of why I didn't also bother upgrading to the premium sound in this, is you're not going to enjoy the nuances of good sound in this cabin. You're just not, because that's loud. The engine sounds fantastic. Now, I'm short shifting, of course, because breaking in the engine. That also means that we're not going to do a 0 to 60 right now, but we are going to do a bunch of road trips with this in the near future after break-in, and I will definitely do a 0 to 60 on one of those. Yeah, there's not a lot of features. I mean, even my cruise control is not adaptive. It's just a standard cruise control. Now, it does have lane centering, but that's just basically a reminder if I'm getting out of a lane, so it is what it is. It's fine. Nothing to test here, really. Now, in terms of economy, driving this back from the dealership this morning with like 0 miles on the auto, I was averaging 20.1 mpgs, which actually is a little bit better than the EPA rating. Which I was kind of surprised by. Sounds so good. And it's so much fun to be like in a manual, in a modern car, with modern power. But now let's pop into the Peninsula Proving Grounds for a little taste of its off-road features. We're going to go ahead and switch up the GOAT mode here. There's lots of different options. I'm going to go ahead and switch to off-road, which is for rough, uneven, mixed terrain. So it automatically shifts the vehicle into 4 high. It also disconnects the front sway bar, that's interesting, and it locks the rear differential. Well, I don't need the rear differential locked for this little bit, and also I don't even need that front stabilizer bar disconnected. So, oh, and it also changes my gauge cluster, so I now have more useful data there. That's kind of cool. Excellent. Okay, let's just see how these Bilstein shocks feel. Now they are external reservoir units, and they are position sensitive, and oh, we've done some grading here. Let's see. Oh, you know, they're a little bouncy, but not too bad actually. I think that's definitely workable here. So we're going to do just a couple tests here with this today, because obviously we're going to get much deeper into this vehicle in future episodes. Let's go ahead and do the mogul course and see basically how this stuff works. You know, I just noticed that the maps here, they actually are doing breadcrumbs, which is a way of tracking where you went. Especially useful if you're out in the wilderness and going down a bunch of different trails. It helps you get out of the woods alive, basically. That's kind of cool. I didn't know that they had that in the Ford system. So let's prep for the moguls here. They're not going to be difficult for this vehicle. They're just not. I could probably drive through it in 2-wheel drive. But the point is basically to just show off some of the features in the vehicle, how they work, and then how you can use them. And then, of course, we'll do, again, more difficult stuff later once this is already broken in. So we're going to go ahead and switch the GOAT mode to, let's do rock crawl. Goes from 4 high to 4 low. It automatically locked the rear diff and also released the front stabilizer bar for better travel. So let's see how this feels. Obviously, we're going to kind of stutter a little bit as we come around the corner here because those 2 wheels are locked together. Now, I don't have a front camera here because I think that the Bronco has very good sight lines. Let's see if that holds true. Okay, now, obviously we're in the low range of the transmission. I'm in first gear, and you notice I'm kind of bouncing a little bit off the transmission. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and drop it all the way into the crawl gear. This is going to give me the maximum crawl ratio, and let's see how this feels. Oh man, that's so weird. Incredibly slow. Oh, that's nice. You have excellent suspension travel. So it basically turns these moguls into nothing. Wow, that's pretty cool. So to see the difference, let's back this up and go back into reverse. And let's try that again. This time with that front stabilizer bar connected, and we'll see how travel varies on that front independent suspension. So let's see, reconnect to that front stabilizer bar. Does it instantly. Now we're going to go forward. And then look for more limited travel in the front. Yeah, way more tippy. That was way more dramatic. Nice. Okay, well, let's disconnect that front stabilizer bar. And we'll do the sand slide here. Huge difference. detach the stabilizer bar. So at this point, we're gonna use crawl gear and kind of use it like a crawl control in a way. Gonna start climbing. Just gonna lift off everything. I have no feet on anything right now. And we're just crawling at like 1 mile per hour because that's the ratio that this is running at right now. No foot on clutch, no foot on gas. This is just free rolling. It makes it so easy. Ah, man, we're gonna have so much fun with this thing. So at this point, I'm gonna switch it to off-road mode, which will switch us back to 4 high. It will also, let's see what else. Turns on traction control, but it leaves the rear locker and the front sway bar disconnected. Into the ditch. A lot of vehicles have trouble with this, but obviously with this 41.3 degree approach angle, no problem at all. And even driving in 4 high here, like I could be crawling in low and it would be a little bit easier, but you know what? It's doing fine here. Nice. Oh, and I can use the crawl gear even in 4 high. You don't have to do it in low. And that makes this actually a little bit easier. Should have done that originally. So I hope you enjoyed this first look at our new long-term 2026 Ford Bronco Badlands 2-door 7-speed. What do you think? Post a comment below. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We got a lot of stuff coming up with this vehicle, and you're not going to want to miss it. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again right here on our next video. Ha! Nice.